Season 2 of One Piece is coming March 10th. And if you're the type to forget we watched over a year ago, but you don't have time to rewatch, or you just want to recap, this is for you. So grab a snack, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it. Episode 1. We're introduced to a world of pirates. 22 years ago, Gold Roger, the so-called Pirate King, is captured. When the crowd demands to know where his treasure is, he tells them to search the seas and find it. Then he's executed. This sets off the Great Pirate Era with everyone chasing Roger's treasure, the One Piece. In the present day, Luffy is sailing alone, dreaming of becoming the king of pirates, but first he needs a crew. Unfortunately, his boat sinks and he survives by hiding inside a barrel. We then meet Alvida, a wanted pirate captain who's searching for the famous pirate hunter Zoro. On her ship is Koby, a low-ranking crew member who's basically bullied into servitude. Koby meets Luffy stowing away on Alvida's ship, and we flash back to Luffy as a kid aboard Shanks' pirate ship. Desperate to prove himself, he gives himself a scar under his eye to look more piratey. Back in the present day, Luffy accidentally wakes up all the pirates on the ship and reveals his stretchy powers, which makes him nearly immune to everything Alvida throws at him, and he knocks her off her own ship. Elsewhere on Six's Island, we meet Roronoa Zoro, the pirate hunter, who's approached by Baroque Works and offered a spot in their organization. He refuses and kills their representative. Luffy and Koby sail together, and we learn how Luffy got his powers. As a kid, he ate a random fruit he found in a box, as one does, revealed to be a devil fruit by Koby. Koby also reveals his dream of becoming a marine, to which Luffy encourages. They head toward a marine base so Luffy can steal a map to the Grand Line, where the One Piece supposedly is. Elsewhere, we meet Nami, who begs for a ship to help her, only for them to try and rob her. Unfortunately for them, she steals their ship instead. Karma. Luffy, Koby, Nami, and Zoro all end up in the same tavern, where Zoro attacks some marines after one of them, Helmpo, yells at a little girl. Zoro ends up turning himself into the marines and is strung up in the yard by Helmpo's father, Captain Morgan. Luffy sneaks onto the base and frees Zoro, wanting him to join his crew. Zoro, of course, refuses, but reveals his vow to become the world's greatest swordsman. Nami also sneaks into the marine base dressed as a marine. She and Luffy realize they're both after the Grand Line map and start working together. They break into Morgan's office, steal the entire safe, and fight their way out with some help from Zoro. They escape, but Koby decides to stay back and become a marine. Elsewhere, we meet Vice Admiral Garp of the Marines, who is notified that the pirates have stolen the Grand Line map. And somewhere else, we meet a clown pirate named Buggy, who hears the same news and wants that map. Episode 2. In a flashback, a bartender, Makino, warns a young Luffy that devil fruits come with consequences. The sea itself will reject him. He doesn't care and finds out that Shanks' crew is leaving for good. In the present, Nami opens up the safe and they find the map, immediately followed by the crew being kidnapped by Buggy's clown pirates. Nami intends to sell Luffy out by revealing his powers and offering him to Buggy as a circus attraction, but when she sees the run-down town, she hesitates on her escape and she gets caught by them again. And we find out that the townspeople are held captive and forced to watch Buggy's twisted show. At the marine base, Koby officially joins as a cadet alongside Helmpo and meets Garp. Buggy interrogates Luffy for the map and reveals that he once sailed with Shanks, who used to own Luffy's hat. When Buggy threatens the townspeople, Luffy breaks free and fights him. We then learn that Buggy also ate a devil fruit, the Chop Chop, which allows him to detach his body parts at will. While held captive in another room, Zoro is confronted by Kabaji, who wants revenge for his brother's death. Buggy traps Luffy in seawater, weakening him, and in a flashback we see young Luffy attacked by a sea monster and is saved by Shanks, who loses his arm in the process. Nami and Zoro escape, rescue Luffy, and fight the clown pirates. Buggy's ability is ridiculously overpowered, but the crew manages to capture all his parts, defeating him. And in a flashback, Shanks gives Luffy his hat, telling him to return it once he becomes a great pirate. And in the present, the crew heads towards the Grand Line. But Nami secretly calls someone, revealing to them that she has the map. Episode 3. A young boy warns his town that pirates are coming, sending them into a panic. Today, that same boy, Usopp, does the same thing, except now nobody believes him because he does this all the time. The crew's ship starts leaking, so they head to the Gecko Islands to find a new one. Koby impresses Garp with his knowledge, and he ends up sending him after Luffy. Buggy gets his body back, but ends up being captured by some fishmen. On the Gecko Islands, Luffy meets Usopp, and he introduces them to Kaya, a sickly girl who welcomes the crew warmly. Her butler, Clador, is extremely protective, while her cook, Buki, and maid Sham are poisoning her food. Buki. Bucky. Bukai. At her birthday party, her financial manager, Mary, wants to discuss transferring the shipyard, but Clador shuts it down. Kaya also wants to try some fish, but Clador insists that she drinks her special soup, the poisoned one. Luffy asks Kaya for a ship, but Clador shuts it down, and Mary confronts Clador, but is killed when Clador reveals that he also has a devil fruit power, super speed. We then meet Arlong, who nearly kills Buggy until Buggy offers to help him find Luffy. That night at Kaya's mansion, Luffy searches for food, Zoro for alcohol, and Nami for valuables. Nami talks with Kaya, who reveals that her parents died at sea. Usopp tells Luffy about his dad, Yasopp, who turns out to be a part of Shanks' crew. And Luffy eats all of the poisoned soup. Zoro and Usopp discover Mary's body and are attacked by Clador. Zoro is knocked out and Usopp escapes. And Zoro, along with Mary's body, are thrown into a well. Usopp warns the town about pirates again, but nobody believes him because he's the boy who cried wolf. In a flashback, we see Usopp's mother die as he still hopes his dad will come with the pirates soon. And present day, Kobe arrives at Gecko Islands. Episode 4. Zoro wakes up in the well. Usopp tells the marine candidates that Clador is actually Kuro of the Black Pirates. Helmpo doesn't believe him, insisting that Kuro is dead. But when Usopp mentions Luffy, Kobe decides to follow him to investigate. Back at the mansion, Nami finds Luffy unconscious in the kitchen after eating the soup. She hides while the Black Cat pirates arrive and overhears that the soup was poisoned. Usopp arrives back at the mansion with the Marines, but Kuro manipulates the situation, making Usopp look delusional. Kuro also hands Luffy over to the Marines, saying that he's just drunk. In the kitchen, Nami attacks Sham to escape, and down in the well, Zoro struggles to climb out and flashes back to his childhood. 7 years earlier, he promises his friend Quina that they will train together every day until one of them becomes the world's greatest swordsman. Unfortunately, Quina dies soon after, and Kuro has carried her sword ever since. Remembering their promise, Zoro finds the strength to finally climb out of the well. Meanwhile, Usopp sneaks into Kaya's room and warns her about Kuro. She struggles to believe them at first, but as the Black Cat pirates lock down the house and Nami corroborates his story, they hide as the pirates hunt them down. Luffy wakes up and escapes the Marines with Zoro's help. Kuro tracks the others to the attic, taunting Kaya and revealing his true intentions. Just as he's about to kill them, Luffy arrives and attacks him. Meanwhile, Zoro fights Sham and Buki. Luffy and Zoro win their fights, saving Kaya and the mansion. Kaya gives the crew a ship, to which Luffy names the Going Mary, after Mary, who died. Luffy invites Usopp to join their crew, and he says goodbye to Kaya, who's thinking of becoming a doctor. As the crew leaves, the Marines attack, and in the chaos, Luffy calls Garp his grandpa, shocking everyone, including me on the rewatch because I did not remember that. Episode 5. As a kid, Luffy's grandpa Garp crushes his dreams of becoming a pirate by forcing him into marine training. In the present, the crew defends themselves from the Marines and escape into the fog. They come across the Bharati, a massive floating restaurant. Here we meet Sanji, a talented cook with a new crush on Nami. With the Marines' ship damaged, Garp calls on Mihawk, a pirate warlord and the best swordsman in the world, who he hires to hunt down Luffy and bring him back alive. Helmpo explains to Kobe that the government works with warlords, allowing them to commit crimes in exchange for favors. At the Bharati, Luffy ends up as a chore boy when he can't pay for his meals, and he sees Sanji feed a starving man. The man reveals that his crew lost 50 ships and 5,000 men searching for the One Piece, and inspired by Sanji's kindness and cooking talent, Luffy invites him to join the crew. Meanwhile, Nami secretly looks for a way to leave the crew and secure passage to the Konomi Islands for herself. Mihawk arrives at the Bharati and meets the Straw Hats. Zoro, recognizing him, immediately challenges him to a duel to the death, determined to become the world's greatest swordsman. In the fight, Mihawk easily overwhelms him and Zoro must accept defeat, taking a devastating slash across the chest. Episode 6. The crew scrambles to save Zoro as he bleeds out. Luffy rushes back to the Bharati to find a doctor. Sanji and the chef, Zeph, agree to help, with Zeph stitching and dressing Zoro's wounds. Mihawk reports back to Garp, expressing curiosity about Luffy and refusing to bring him in, suggesting that he might actually find the One Piece. This enrages Garp, while Kobe overhears, learning that Luffy is Garp's grandson. On the Going Merry, Sanji opens up to Luffy about his past with Zeph. As a child, Sanji was a cook on a ship attacked by the pirate Zeph. After a shipwreck, they were stranded on a deserted island, and Zeph rationed the food, sending Sanji to the other side. After 70 days, Sanji runs out of food and goes to confront Zeph, only to discover Zeph's bag was nothing but treasure. Zeph had eaten his own leg to survive, sacrificing himself so Sanji could live. Zeph explains that they share the same dream, finding the All Blue, a legendary spot where all seas meet. Zeph wants Sanji to live long enough to achieve it, and that's what makes him a true captain. Nami lashes out at Luffy for allowing Zoro to fight Mihawk, but Luffy refuses to stand in the way of anyone's dreams. Kobe confronts Garp, insisting that Luffy will always be a pirate and he should just accept it. Garp accepts it and declares that the Marines will stop holding back. And that night, Arlong and his fisherman crew arrive at the Bharati searching for Luffy. He threatens to eat the guests if Zeph doesn't cooperate. Nami overhears the threat and urges the crew to flee, but Luffy refuses to abandon innocent people. It's also revealed that Arlong has Buggy's severed head, who has been tracking the crew down through his severed ear in Luffy's hat. Luffy confronts Arlong, but Nami reveals herself as Arlong's ally and boards his ship, leaving behind the crew. Arlong also throws Luffy into the ocean, exploiting his devil fruit weakness, but Sanji saves him. Zeph provokes Sanji into leaving the Bharati, insisting he stop wasting his life and pursue his dreams. Zoro regains consciousness, and Luffy declares that they must go after Nami before the One Piece. And it's revealed that the crew now possesses Buggy's head. Episode 7. 8 years ago, Nami lives in Cocoa Village studying maps alongside her blue-haired sister, Najiko, and their adoptive mother, ex-Marine Belle Mare. In the present day, Nami gambles with some fishmen, then hands over the Grand Line map to Arlong. She then heads over to Cocoa Village to collect some tribute, a place she's no longer welcome. The Straw Hats arrive at Cocoa Village, where Nami tells them she used them and orders them to leave. Instead of leaving, they find her sister Najiko and find out that Nami has been working for Arlong ever since he attacked their village. Their mother, Belle Mare, used the last of her money to pay for her daughter's lives. She's then executed by Arlong in front of them. Elsewhere, Garp and the Marines arrive at the Bharati restaurant, where Zeph tells Garp that Luffy reminds him of Gold Roger. Garp admits that he's trying to prevent Luffy from meeting the same fate. And Kobe also reveals to Hempo that Garp is Luffy's grandfather. Some other Marines, led by a Captain Nezumi, visit Arlong's park for some bribes to continue ignoring the fishmen crimes. Nami tells Arlong that she has enough money to fulfill their deal, but he sends Nezumi after her. Najiko finds Nami digging up the money at their mother's grave, and Nami admits that she's only been working for him in order to buy back the village. Unfortunately, Nezumi arrives and confiscates the money under Arlong's orders. As Arlong's crew attacks the village, Nami breaks and asks Luffy for help. Episode 8. As a kid, Nami spends her days as Arlong's prisoner, drawing maps of the sea. In the present, the Cocoa villagers decide to march on Arlong to fight for their freedom, now knowing of Nami's sacrifice. All while Nezumi reports to Garp that Luffy is the one attacking Cocoa Village. The Straw Hats storm Arlong Park and fight the fishmen, while Luffy and Nami confront Arlong inside the map room. Unable to defeat Arlong directly, Luffy destroys the map room, and Arlong is buried beneath the rubble. And side note, Buggy's reunited with his body, but he flees. The village celebrates its freedom, but the Marines arrive shortly after. Garp orders Kobe to arrest Luffy, but he refuses. Luffy declares that he will never give up being a pirate, so Garp decides to show him what Marines do to pirates, which is very rude. Garp turns out to be unusually strong, but Luffy doesn't give up, and Garp lets him go, claiming to have been testing that Luffy was sure about who he wanted to be. Nami and Najiko say goodbye as Nami officially joins the Straw Hats, and I'm wondering where she gets all these outfits from. Kobe shows Luffy his wanted poster, the highest bounty in the East Blue, which fills him with pride. Garp agrees to personally train Kobe and Helmpo for following their own moral code. Mihawk shows Luffy's poster to Shanks' crew, exciting them. The Straw Hats raise their new flag with Luffy's design, and they gather on deck to declare their dreams. Sanji's gonna find the All Blue. Luffy's gonna be king of the pirates. Zoro's gonna become the world's greatest swordsman. Nami's gonna draw a map of the world. And Usopp's gonna become a brave warrior of the sea. And that's the end of season 1. I love this show. It perfectly balances camp and heart while making the live action feel natural instead of forced. The fight scenes are flashy without dragging. The casting's great and every character feels distinct. I like all of them. I like how they all got their own little backstory and episode highlight. I tried watching the anime, and while I love the story, the visual style just isn't for me, so I'm glad that the live action exists and is continuing. Also, isn't there like 1,000 episodes? Do they ever find the One Piece? I hope there's an endgame. Like, subscribe, and comment your opinions on this season or theories for what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.